it's Wendy K. Laidlaw, and as always, I do hope that this message finds you well. Now, today I'm going to be sharing another amazing success story. They just keep coming through and coming through and coming through. So thank you to those of them who are out there, who are working the book, who are following the principles and protocols and getting the results, but most importantly, sharing them with us. We've had at least another 3 emails coming in this week. One from a lady who had a cyst reduced by 1 centimeter in a month after she'd been to see her gynecologist, which was just amazing. She got that confirmed. Another lady who had originally started with my book, I think about 18 months ago, now has 0 pain, 0 symptoms, has a 2 to 3 day light period, and just was overjoyed. In fact, has almost forgotten she ever had the condition. So again, I'm here to inspire you wherever you are in your journey. Know that your body is an amazing organism. Once you remove what is toxic and poisonous, it just does what it wants to do, which is heal itself. You know, the immune system does what it needs to do, but if it's already impaired by toxins and poisons, and that could be in, on, and around you, then it's going to be a lot harder and a lot tougher. And of course, what we're all conditioned to do is look outside of ourselves for the answers. But of course, everything that you need to heal is within you. So hence why I'm so delighted that Hana from Slovakia agreed to come and share her story. Now, she started off in the 21-day challenge, which is the EndoBoss challenge. She also did the Embracing Emotions program as well. So if you haven't done these things yet, please go on and do them. It's an emotional journey healing this endometriosis, if you haven't already figured that out. I talk about the 5 Ps: the produce, products, property, people, and past. The produce and the products and the property, they're the easy bits in inverted commas. They are easy. Everything is in my book. It shares with you what you need to do. The emotional component be a lot more challenging because of the very nature of the fact it's emotional. And a lot of women are brought up to be seen and not heard, to be good girls, to sit quietly, twirl their hair and smile and not whinge and complain, but be so utterly connected to other people that they don't know what to do with whatever feelings and emotions they have. So this is very much a strong part of the journey and a strong part of the programs that I've created for you. So do start with a 21-day challenge. It just gives you a sense of what it's like to listen to yourself very slowly, very gently for 21 days, and then also notice how your body responds to that. So anyway, Hana completed the 21-day challenge. She went on to the Embracing Emotions program, and because of her dedication and her work commitment, we offered her a place in the EndoBoss Academy. Now, the Academy now is only open sort of once or twice a year. And there is a waiting list, and not everybody who applies, unfortunately, gets a place, because we're looking for a particular type of woman who recognizes that it is hard work. It takes commitment and dedication to make necessary changes to get the results. But I am so pleased to share that Hana has been getting amazing results. Now, I thought I would read out some of what she had said at the very beginning. Where are we here? So yeah, so at the very beginning of the program, she was in daily pain, scores of 1 to 4 every day. She was bleeding 3 to 5 days. She had poor sleep, chronic fatigue, bloating, candida. She had yeast infections. She was suffering terribly from childhood trauma, which she'd been very cleverly been able to identify what was kind of activating her nervous system and impairing her immune system. She'd had a lot of stress from the past, a lot of recent traumas, toxic family, things like that, that she hadn't really been getting the support from the professionals that she'd sought. In fact, some of the professionals that she'd sought help from had actually created trauma in her by themselves. So again, if you've ever had encounters with medical professionals who have been rude, crude, mistreated you, that by itself can actually create some sort of trauma inside your nervous system. But certainly by the end of the EndoBoss Academy, well, certainly halfway through the academy, should I say, a complete transformation has occurred. It's been an absolute joy to watch Hana move through these programs, be so dedicated and committed. Obviously, we have an amazing support system. We have what I call our extremes email support system. We've got our EndoBoss coaches that support as well, and I sort of dip in and out as well, paying attention and seeing what's happening. But one significant improvement was her fibroid had reduced from 2 centimeters to 1.4. She'd lost what was it now, 13 kilograms in weight. She had a total emotional shift, greater connection to herself. Her gums were better. She was less fatigued. She was more confident, was able to communicate her needs more, and was able just to have this greater sense of connection to herself, where she was able to speak up for herself, have her voice, communicate her needs, hold her boundaries, and recognize what these things were. You know, what she said of our head coach Maxine was, she was always there for me, supporting, cheerleading, pointing to further growth, great suggestions of framing drawings, coaching me through tumultuous times, mirroring, reassuring. We had fun as well. She was compassionate, though compassion cannot be shown. Although compassion is challenging to be shown to her, listening and sometimes not listening was when it was needed to be coaching, i.e. it was a challenge for Hana at certain points to receive the compassion and the kindness because of her trauma, but over time and expert coaching, Maxine was able to build that relationship of trust, and Hana was able to relax and understand just the importance of what Maxine was offering her in sense of connection to herself. But she learned so much, obviously the foods, the toxins, the body psychology, which she said was amazing. She says, I'm more confident to speak up for myself. I've rediscovered my lost professional protective part and many more. I've embraced little parts of the little me, her adolescence. She's not afraid of her future. I'm totally self-dependent now and really listening to my needs. I got rid of a big portion of shame that was stuck in my body, and discovered why I have a tendency to laugh over hurts and things, and I recognizing the essence of what is inside and what had to be hidden and protected because of the hurts and things that had obviously created dis-ease in her body. So she now understands PTSD in that integrative way as to how the body will adapt to the environment, be it past or present, or anticipation and fear of the future. But all in all, she said, you know, she said her although her body still carries some tension, and obviously she still got to work on that cyst, which is more of an emotional thing. She says, dear lovely woman, come here, heal, be bathed in love, and be forever happy in doing so. So as I say, I really hope that you enjoy listening to Hana share her story. As with all the women that come on this podcast, please do email in and share how it has helped you, has inspired you and given you hope. These women are beautiful women that, you know, have to overcome quite a sense of anxiety, if you like, to come on and be so open and public and share. But so do let us know if you found this podcast inspiring and helpful. And equally, wherever you are in your journey, just know that your body is an amazing organism. And you know, when you're in the right environment, have the right information, education, if you can put all your conditions into remission. So I hope that you enjoy this, and I look forward to meeting you on your EndoBoss journey. Hey, Hana.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I am very well. How are you today?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you look so well. You look so healthy.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
It's so
better
lovely.
and better.
Pardon?
Better and better.
Better every day, better and better. Absolutely. I know. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much. We're just going to have a nice, lovely, informal chat as we normally do. But I want to thank you so much for being so courageous and so strong and so brave for coming on and sharing your journey so far. Because I remember what it was like, you know, on my journey, kind of like, A, am I tempting fate? And B, oh my God, you know, the critic, the perfectionist, all those parts really get excited. But you have such a beautiful voice now. You have such passion, you have such knowledge, you've grown so much. And I think it's such an important message that you're going to be sharing to so many women.
Yes, thank you. I hope it helps.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, this is all pre-recorded and it's lovely and informal. So we're just going to chat as we would do normally. Just be you. Okay, be the beautiful you. Just, there's no right or wrong. It's just, you know, be who you are. And I'm going to gently lead you. And equally, if you want to like share for 15 hours with excitement all that you've learned, go for it. Okay, because I know that on this journey, you kind of learn more and more and more and more as you go, and then you start to connect and connect and connect more and more as you go, and then you're like, oh my goodness, how come all this stuff hasn't been shared and taught before? So I want you to enjoy this and yeah, be proud of what you've accomplished. So for those who are listening, this is a beautiful Hana from Slovakia, and she started working with us in November, I think, for the foundation, but I think maybe you started in a 21-day challenge, is that right?
In August, there was a challenge. And then I continued in the Embracing Emotions program.
Absolutely. Well, perhaps we can start there. Like, what first of all, sort of drew you to the 21-day challenge, and what was going on for you at that point?
Yes, so I learned that year, already in January, that I probably have endometriosis, because I was chasing my IVF procedures. I was 38 years old. All my friends, they had kids, and because I was without and married again, and I didn't have kids, so biological clock were ticking, and I started to really chase IVF procedures. And yeah, and the third IVF, I had 4 in 15 months. And the third one I had in January. And during this, I had also cyst and some fibroid. And this cyst had to be punctured so that the doctor could reach some follicles. Yeah, and then he prescribed me antibiotics. And I asked, why are you prescribing me antibiotics? Yeah. And he said to me, it is endometriosis. He was suspecting this. So I think, yeah, I never had surgery, like, to really confirm. But, you know, if you have a chocolate cyst and it is punctured, you have this dark fluid. This, I suppose, happened. Yeah. The doctor told me it is endometriosis, because in the ultrasound, it looked like, but once he punctured that, okay, you have this. And I was like, okay, now I know I have it. Yeah. So I started to Google, and because I am from scientific background, so I always have to know and learn and educate myself. So that is when I learned I have endometriosis. And then I had in April my 4th IVFs, but in different country, because in my country, I had all the time the same bad results. Yeah. And I don't know why I decided to have this third IVF. Probably my people pleaser decided, oh, they were nice to me, but I didn't have results, but they were nice to me. I am to be nice to them and go again to the procedure. Nonsense. And now I see it was nonsense. I was hurting myself. And in different country, I already had some results. So I have some embryos frozen. But then I knew that, oh, I cannot have this embryo have implanted into my not well body. Yeah. And also in March, I started to Google, and I also managed to Google your book. And in March, I bought the book, but this book was kind of in the background, like, okay, I will not be successful with IVF in a different country. And in that country, there is one of the best in Europe. So I hoped I will get the result. Okay, I have this book. Okay, then I will try it later. Then I had this IVF, some embryos frozen. But then on your website, I was watching videos of other ladies getting pregnant and everything. Yeah. And I started to listen to your podcast, and also that time you also had some Facebook page, and there were some podcasts with other people, and I was interested more and more, and I was drawn more and more. And then you decided to make a challenge, and I was like, okay, I am joining. Yeah. And that's how it all started.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I admire you for having that tenacity and that spirit, and I do believe that all the women that will be listening to you have that same spirit, but they just, you know, this will be a wonderful confirmation for them about just keep trusting your instincts, because your instincts led you to this point. So what was happening in your body and your mind and your emotions. What was happening for you? Obviously, I'm hearing about you trying to do the IVF, you know, you've been told you got endometriosis, you had a cyst that's being punctured, all these, so there's a lot going on. So there must have been a lot of fear and anxiety and stress going on inside. What was going on inside your body and your emotions?
Well, I was basically stressed because I need to mention, yes, the cyst was punctured, but it was back, yeah. So it always returns. Yeah, and I was stressed because I still don't have kids and I really want to be a mother. And it is hard when people, your friends and everybody, your old school fellows, everybody has kids and is happy, and I had to avoid people because it was really hurting. Even my brothers, they both have 3 kids, so 6 kids in my family.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and what was happening with my body? Now when I look back, I was really barbaric to my body, because when you go to that IVF procedure, you have to give yourself injections into your belly. And my belly was like colorful, and I was really pushing myself. So this was pusher in me.
Yeah.
With the knowledge I have now, I would never undergo IVF.
Yeah.
A really natural way is the best.
Yeah.
Like totally barbaric to my body. And you also, I had to take some estrogen and some artificial progesterone and those injections. I was really poisoning myself and pushing myself and being in stress, and went the wrong way, really.
But you don't know what you don't know when you're doing that. You're just going with the information that you have, and you know, and isn't it fantastic now that you see, because you have this such wide knowledge and understanding of your body now and yourself, and how the body is just such an amazing organism, that you now, with this knowledge, you know that you can do things differently. And that's all the information that you had at the time, wasn't it? You know, that was all that you had.
Yes, fortunately, I don't hesitate. I go to search solution.
Yeah.
So basically, in January, I learned I have endometriosis. In August, I was in your challenge.
Yeah. Well, you're a woman who knows what she wants and she goes for it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But equally, your intuition and your instincts were guiding you along the way. That you weren't just saying, well, that's me, I'm going to accept that, I'm going to do something about it.
Maybe it is also important to mention, because it's part of my story, and I should probably go even deeper into my past. It was 2 years, now it is 3 years, that I knew, and only 2 years I knew that I am a highly sensitive person. Like I never knew, and I listened to some TED talk there, and it was like resonating with me. And there was mentioned this book by Dr. Ellen Aron, and I bought this book, and everything was making sense. Like, this is really me. This happened in my childhood. This is really me. And so it was like, okay, my whole life I was suppressed, not understood. Now I know the truth, what to do with the truth. So I was basically left with the tension in me, a lot of tension. Like, I already knew the truth, but now what to do with it?
Yeah.
How to process it? So there was tension, like I didn't know what to do now. I know the truth, and now what? Process your whole life.
Yeah. And it's so true, isn't it? I was speaking with a client yesterday, and she's saying, oh, I've done this and I've done this and I did all this stuff before I met you, but I didn't know what to do with all this stuff, because nowadays it's not the lack of information. There's so much information and you get overwhelmed with it and you don't know what to do with it. And as you know, we joke, we don't do baby steps on this program. We do ant-sized steps, because we have to kind of incorporate. And because we've all got quite analytical minds, and we've got that drive, and we've got that push, and we have that question like, why? We need the answers, but we can't be overwhelmed with all the answers, you know, because we have to integrate what we're learning and make sense of that. And that in itself makes us stronger, and to be able to move forward more quickly once we understand. So that's very interesting that you're saying that.
Yes, and to even say more, yes, unsize steps, it is really important, because now I know what I know, and if everything I was told at once, I would not be able to process that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like my conditioning and everything, it's just too much at once.
Of course. I mean, you're a human being. You're not a robot. You know, you can't just like be programmed all this stuff. We have all these feelings and emotions and past and triggers and traumas. We've got all this that we're kind of making sense of. But at the core of it, which is just awesome, so evident with you from the beginning, was this spirit, you know, this push, this drive that was kind of like it. And it's what guided you to me in the first place. It's kind of like you knew that you just had to keep moving forward, but you had to do it slowly, which of course was a challenge to the perfectionist and the pusher and all these parts that are like better, faster, more now. And the more you learn, the more you were able to self-soothe. And I think, I mean, again, if you're comfortable in discussing it, I know that you touched on, you know, your sensitivity and where that originated from. And of course, that is our superpower now. We've been able to turn that sensitivity into our superpower, haven't we?
Yeah,
superpower.
I like this. I really like this to be sensitive and to see more, and I don't know how to say it in English. Yes. Yeah, for me, it is a gift, really.
It is a gift. And when you first recognized that, it was beautiful, because I think what a lot of us struggled with was what society and culture puts upon us as women to be something other than who we are, but not validating and recognizing that our sensitivity is our strength. It's just we have to learn how to protect it, preserve it, and put boundaries in to kind of like, you know, ensure that people don't take advantage of that sensitivity.
Maybe what came to my mind now, that I was not that affected by society, because my whole life I was outsider. Yeah. So I really kind of do not care what other people think. I still cared because of my conditioning, but not so much because I was already used to be outsider and not really caring what other people think so much.
But isn't that interesting? Because I completely relate. I felt different. I felt I'd been plopped down from planet Zor onto Earth, and I felt like this alien walking around going, but I don't think like that, and I don't feel like that. And you do have to get to the point where you think, well, I can't, you know, care, in inverted commas. But of course we do care. And it's how we've learned how to incorporate letting blessing and release certain people, and equally blessing and acknowledging ourselves and our parts, because that's where I think you really embraced so many of the beautiful parts that had been in hiding because you'd felt different. And I think that's, again, very, very common. Anyone who's been listening to this podcast for a couple of years now knows that we're all the same. We are a unique breed of women. And this is by learning to have people reflect back to you that is a strength, and that is a beauty, and there's a gift. That is rare. And that's what we build on in this community.
Yes, and yes, these all helped me. You know, in my case, I really was not appreciated by my family, and I really had to put really strong boundaries. Once I really embraced myself, who I really am, and it's okay, and it's just wonderful, and it is gift. And I was not still being appreciated by my family and gaslighted by some members. And most hurting, well, it's you are not appreciated by your own mother. Yeah. This caused me the most trauma in me. So I learned to really kind of bless and release. Yeah. Because we still do care. We still love people. We have hearts for everybody, but yes, it is like this oxygen mask scenario. How you can be there for others if you are going down, fatigued and everything.
Absolutely. And it's almost like, you know, as you're describing that about your mother and stuff, I mean, again, it's very common for not every woman, but a lot of women with endometriosis, that again, I was speaking to someone yesterday and they explained about their lack of relationship. In fact, it was really cruel and unkind and abusive, and it's heart-wrenching, you know, for the heart, for the little them, to understand that it wasn't their fault. It was nothing that they did. It was just, we can make assumptions, but it doesn't really matter, the excuses, the explanations, because they're not justifications for the behavior. And what we need to learn is to kind of learn to heal our own heart that is such a big, beautiful, beating heart that has been bruised and battered. And we are learning how to protect that and preserve that and really appreciate that in a whole new way.
Protect, and I kind of adopted myself. I adopted my own little child and my own adolescent. So yeah. I am now giving the love myself I didn't have.
You're the parent to your parts that you never got the parenting that you needed before, because there wasn't that relationship. And that's beautiful. I love that analogy, or that term. You adopted your little unit, and it's beautiful.
I am the mom now.
You're the mom to yourself, and I think that's so. And it feels so right. Like, it feels like that, of course, you know, because there isn't ever going to be anybody that's going to be able to fill that place or that space. It has to be our own self, because then we learn what our different parts, what their different needs are. And they have different needs, as you've been establishing and understanding, from a furry blanket to sitting on a motorbike or a racing car, you know, depending on the parts, you know, it's understanding.
Remote car, remote control car, jumping ball.
Yes, exactly. But also, the more and more that you were uncovering, discovering, learning to kind of almost revere and revel in all this beauty that lay within all these parts that had been hidden. It was joyous to see your smile widen, to see your energy get brighter and lighter. And of course, you triggers and trials and tribulations came your way to test you, and you were navigating them like a ninja. And then, like, your body was responding. It's just fantastic.
It was a road, really. Like,
it's a roller coaster. I never say it's easy, because it is not easy, but it is so worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, and once you told that, I threw myself into it, so I really threw myself into it. And now I'm so proud and so happy, and I never regret that. It is just wonderful what I discovered. And yeah, I even find out that I have a talent for playing on piano. I don't know still to play, but I play for myself, compose myself, and it is such a joy.
I know my team are like, we were singing Hannah's tune earlier. We kept singing it in our head. But that was the beauty. All these, and there's still more to uncover, of course. But you know, your talent for playing music, your talent of your drawings and your paintings and your poetry. There was all this beautiful sense of creativity being allowed to be expressed, which had been suppressed before because you were just in survival mode.
Yes, I was set up by my parents to go the analytical route.
Yeah.
So it was, all the creativity was suppressed and not appreciated.
Absolutely.
Like, be scientist and go analytical way, because you will not survive in this unkind world. This was the teaching of my parents.
Yeah, and of course, parts of you would say, well, that makes sense. I need to know the science. That's why you have such a strong science background. You know, you were analytical. You wanted to know the facts and stuff, which is awesome. But of course, you know, there was so much sadness there too, because you weren't able to connect with the light and the joy and the spirit of your other parts that had to be fragmented and had to be switched off from to survive. You were just in pure survival.
Yeah, and we are switched off, then our immune system is not working, then we are chronically fatigued, then we develop cysts and all this stuff.
Yeah. And it almost makes me emotional, like, you know, even just you hearing, like, laying that out. And it's such a shame, isn't it, that our cultures, wherever we are in the world, you know, you're in Slovakia, I'm in Scotland, like, the conditioning is the same. It's like, we're not taught in schools to connect with our emotions and our feelings and our body and understand all these things, because if we did and it was okay and we felt safe, there wouldn't be all this dis-ease and illness and sickness that's around in the world.
Yes, it is said. The world really needs a lot of healing.
It does. And this is where I think you recognize as well with your big heart. You're like, I want to save the world like me.
Yes.
Like, lovely. We like that. But let's heal yourself and save yourself first and get to know all these parts. And I think week on week, month on month, you know, to be so honored to be part of your journey has been fantastic. Just to see you step into you. You was always there, and that's the beauty of working with people like yourself, is you have that spirit, because that's what drove you here. You have that intuition, and it's learning for you to harness that and embrace that in a whole new way, to learn the messages and the meanings behind everything, and then allow for that integration.
Yeah, and once this happens, it is so joyful.
It is so joyful. And if I had said to you at the 21-day challenge, this is how you'd be feeling now, you'd be like, get out, go, leave me alone.
Maybe not, but I was really overwhelmed because already during the challenge, everything, my past opened up and I was just overwhelmed.
Exactly, because it was so new. And that's why I call it a challenge. And that's why, you know, but it's such a challenge for women like us to feel our emotions come into our body, because we learned for survival, and it was very clever and very sophisticated form of strategy to switch off, because that's all that we knew. We didn't have the teaching, the mentoring, the coaching, the love, the support, the cheerleading. We had none of that, you know, but you're here now, and that's what matters.
Yes, and what came to my mind that during the program, there was some quote that without challenge, we will not grow. So to grow, we need a little bit to be challenged.
Absolutely. And I'm a great believer that all the sadness and the mistreatment, the hurt, the abuse, all that kind of stuff that we had growing up was training us for our future. Because there's no way, you know, me and my team could do the work we do if we'd not had those experiences. At the same time, I do not wish that on anybody, which is why it's important moving forward to teach people how to, if they recognize themselves as sensitive, or they're called sensitive as if it's a blight, as if it's a bad thing, then they can really step into that sensitivity and learn how to protect and preserve it.
Yeah, I feel it the same, because I would not be so strong. I had some happenings in my life, and not going through that, I would not be so strong now. So it's really building me.
Yeah.
And now I'm thankful really for the endometriosis, because I would never really meet you and, and your team. And now I'm thankful because I'm healing it. It's now going into remission, and I feel it was a blessing.
I know, and it's so lovely to hear that. And I love when, that's why thank you for doing these podcasts, because again, for those who are listening, it might sound really weird, because I know I'm like, I'm thankful for endometriosis showing up, because I wouldn't have gone down this path. I wouldn't have known what I've known. And how many women come on here and say the same thing, that actually it was their body's way of getting their attention to say, hey, you deserve better treatment. It wasn't your fault what happened to you. But actually, ironically, it was happening for you. It was training you for the future. And you don't have to suffer for the rest of your life. Because I think, you know, a lot of us can feel very different. And we don't, you know, we might be around people who might be shades of gray of unpleasantness or negativity or toxicity. And then we're like, oh, I don't think like that. And I don't feel like that. And then that becomes this isolation. But actually what you've been learning on the journey, starting from the challenge, which is a challenge, learning how to listen to ourselves, which is so powerful, especially in this crazy, fast-paced, noisy world that we live in now. You know, and I think the more you've been listening to yourself, it's been beautiful to see more and more of you, the essence of you that was always there, but had to be kept hidden for safety's sake, to be emerging.
And also I want to add that it was really validating that I am not alone. Like, I'm not really different, because there are people like me.
Yeah.
And this whole program and learning about other women also, it was so validating that I can be myself. There are more people like me. just to
Absolutely.
find them.
Absolutely. I think there's a great song in The Greatest Showman, you know, the film The Greatest Showman, about being me, you know, and that's it. It's like they're because of the high degree of perception, intuition, instincts and sensitivity that we were born with, you know, probably the people around about us didn't know what to do with that, you know, so we took in this energy long before we even had the language. It would be the actual body sensations of or whatever we were picking up. I think they say with babies from 6 days old, they can pick up the eyes of the mother and the tension in the arm of a mother. They can sense that, you know, whether it's a warmth or not so much a warmth, you know, and that then sets up these thoughts, these feelings, these statements, these sentences, these structures of beliefs that we have about ourselves. And this is why, again, when the body sort of starts to speak, we need to gently listen, you know, gently listen to what it's saying and know that it's, because I think sometimes it can be a lot of shame that has been projected onto women, which is not their shame to hold on to. And it's them learning to recognize their beauty that lies within.
Yes, exactly. And also, I didn't know that other people are not like me. I always thought that other people are also getting what other people feel.
Yes.
And I wondered why they are not getting me, why they are not so nice to me as I am nice to them. So
Yeah.
this was totally mystery to me. And then I learned, okay, they are not like us. We are different.
Yeah, and we're a good different. I think there's always
Yeah.
this thing that, oh, we're a bad different. No, we are who we are, and we're a special, unique tribe of women. And I like that. I like that I am sensitive, but that doesn't mean that I'm weak. I like that
No.
I'm intuitive, but that doesn't mean to say that you get to walk all over me like a doormat. You know, it's like learning. And I think you've had that yourself, haven't you? You were like, no more doormats, no more
No,
this.
no. I was such a doormat. I didn't have any boundaries, really. Zero boundaries, zero self-esteem. And this was my life. Yes.
Yeah. But when you started to learn to put these in, it was challenging at times, but then equally, the more that you did it, the better you felt. And you started, as you say, to adopt yourself and protect yourself and parent yourself because you recognize your worth as you went along.
Yes, yes. When you start putting these boundaries, at first you can be a little bit anxious that what will happen. But you
Yeah.
see that, okay, people are respecting, it is working, you are more and more confident. And
Yeah.
it really works. You can protect yourself.
And
And
it's, again, it's a shame we're not taught this at school, isn't it?
I don't remember.
No, we're not taught this. Nobody teaches us this at school. So it's great that, and you're right, I think there can sometimes be a lot of anxiety when we first start to put in even the smallest boundary with people because we fear their aggression or their response and rejection. But actually we recognize that what we were doing was rejecting ourselves and not protecting ourselves when we didn't have boundaries. And we didn't know that, but I used to joke. Yeah, I knew what a boundary fence was, but I didn't know what a boundary was for me. It's just that, yeah, just walk all over me. Yeah, just I'll be your doormat. Not now. And I think that's what you've learned too.
Yes, I was always forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. But once I learned that, but it is really not good on my health, and I'm just worse and worse, and this has to stop because I will not never have my children, and I don't want to be such a doormat. So
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding with certain religions and things like, you know, you might understand if someone is a forgivable person, it's because they take ownership and responsibility of their behavior. So if they mess up and they say, I'm sorry, you go, okay. But if they keep doing it a second time and a third time and a fourth time, they're not sorry. You
yes,
know, and this
there is
is
some
where
measure.
yes, and I think I always like to give someone one chance. I used to give them 3, no more. It's just 1. And then like, because, you know, we value ourselves now and it's up to them to demonstrate their, you know, their value of us, you know, and I think.
And paradoxically, you you can change someone by not forgiving, but just taking care of yourself, and then the change in other people can happen. This is like paradox.
Absolutely. I think as well, I think if someone's behavior has been foul, you can see it for what it is and not think, oh, it's because of something else, or make excuses for them. And I think that's a big thing for our type of personality. In the past, I would say, oh, that's because of this, he's behaving like that. That's not acceptable anymore. They need to kind of, this is the boundary, that's not acceptable. You need to look at changing your behavior. And that's the difference I think I've seen in you, is really value, especially with some professionals that you've interacted with. You've been so strong, haven't you? You've been really upset by some professionals who were just foul, there's no other word for it, horrible and unpleasant, and mistreated you. But over time, you've really learned your voice, to hold your ground, you know, and get the respect that you deserve.
Yes, I don't know if I can go into, I don't mind going to my stories. So
yeah, if you feel comfortable, then
I am very comfortable, because it was not my fault, you know. Maybe to even little bit mention I already mentioned that I was emotionally abused. I had zero self-esteem. I was just obeying and good girl. And yeah, and when I was like 26 and I was exhausted, I was doing my PhD studies, and because I was people pleaser, I was not living in that place. It was different country. And I was commuting every day 4 hours there and back, because I had a boyfriend, and I wanted to live there when my studies were, but some family-in-law, it was not family because he was boyfriend. And she decided, no, my boyfriend will not be alone when I will be at work. And she decided we will live like in my country. And then because I didn't want to split with my boyfriend, I was living with them. And I was commuting 4 hours, like every working day, 4 hours by train there and back. This was exhausting. And also the studies. And also as a young person, I was like asking big questions. And I was totally exhausted, maybe a little bit depressed. And unfortunately, this to be family member, she had a friend who is not friend anymore. He was psychiatrist. and he recommended some tests, and I obeyed. I was people pleaser, zero self-esteem, zero boundaries, and I obeyed. And they did test, and I will mention it. Rorschach test just does not work. This is also written in the book of Alan Aron. For highly sensitive people, it gives you no direction, this test. It just does not work. But they did this to me, and based on this, they gave me some pills. I was there they wanted me to undergo some test. Okay, I obeyed. I did not wonder why in hospital. Like now I wonder why I didn't wonder that why I'm going to hospital. But they made this test, and I wanted to go home, but my family kept telling me, no, just some few more tests, just wait. But they also gave me pills, and I was zombie since. I was not complaining anymore, and I was not fighting anymore. I was just zombie and taking pills, and I was going down and down. And I had also side effects, like I had to move all the time. I don't know how this is called in doctor's terminology. And the doctor told my family, she is lying. She's making this up. Like I am honest person. I never lie, really. I never lie. And there was so much projections. So I was worse and worse. And my family-in-law, not family-in-law, we married later. They saw how I am worse and worse, so they took me out.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah.
They took me out. They fight it for me. They took me out pills X and everything, but I know how I felt like nothing is going to help me. I will end my life. So I really tried to end my life for the first time. And unfortunately, they brought me back to the same place. And the same happened again. I had pills.
Oh my goodness.
I had pills and I was really bad. And again, they fight it for me. And again, took me out. And then I had a second suicide attempt. Yeah.
No.
And then I was brought thankfully to another hospital. But I recovered there. And I maybe due to the treatment, no pills anymore, blah, blah, blah. But also there was a personal shift in me. And also I told myself that if nobody understands me, because I feel like nobody really understands me, then I will try to understand people and so on. So this was my story. And I became new person, stronger. I even started to write poems. It was the first time I started to. So to some extent, I maybe found some part of me, some maybe spiritual part. And yeah, but still I was not myself. Still I was not knowing myself that I'm a highly sensitive person. But you know, this saying, what does not kill you makes you stronger. And yes, and what happened? I was recovered, then I married my boyfriend, finally after 13 years. And not even 2 years of marriage, and he got diagnosed with the most deadliest brain cancer, glioblastoma, and even the deadliest glioblastoma, because there are several types. But because I was so strong already, I could be there for him. You know, he was given 6 months to live, and we really fight it. I studied everything. I studied everything about glioblastoma on the web, all the scientific publication. Doctors told me that you know more when I asked something. And yeah, he made it to 21 months because he wanted to live. Yeah. He made this decision. I want to live. Okay, I will be with you, fight with you. I left my work and everything. So I was there for him, and he once told me that he has the energy from me. And yes, so being strong, I was there for him. And I love him. I gave him all my life. And I will continue in my story because I will continue with talking about toxic people. Yeah. So he passed away. And then my family-in-law rejected me. I was even asked that, when was the last time you loved your husband? Oh, God. But you know, like I was forgiving for 2 years, not like 3 chances. 2 years I was forgiving them. Like, okay, they are grieving, they are harsh on me, they are grieving. Even so, I was grieving myself. Like, yeah. And I was really fighting for myself. And one day something happened in my head, and since then I had mild permanent headache. But I was going down and down, and thankfully I found a neurologist. And this neurologist, she never gave me any pills. She went natural route, like giving me some B vitamins or magnesium and sending me to some test. Like, I learned I have tetany, but it is nothing, just saying you are sensitive. Yeah. You need magnesium, and this is genetics. Okay, I have tetany. And also she made a test on serotonin, and like two times. And I have it here. When I was still meeting my ex family, like once a week, and my serotonin level was like, I have it here, 623, and interval is 667 and 1097. So I was even below. Yeah. And this was in October. Okay, there is not so much sun, maybe on October, like in May next year. But it was such a huge shift because in between I stopped seeing this.
So you
I
went
don't like
600,
toxic
so you went from
people.
600 to what? What was when you got the last
Yeah,
test?
I am going to say it, yes.
Yeah.
And it was in May then, and it was 9088. So almost the upper limit.
Amazing.
And only what changed was, okay, October, May, maybe a little bit more sun, but what changed was I was not meeting them anymore. So you can see
And you were
how
in this program.
you can see how impacted you can be by people you are. I don't like the word toxic. I call them negatively impactful.
Yeah.
And basically in this program I learned that even my own family, just everybody is like toxic. I really have to completely change people in my life. Yeah, I don't know where we started.
Well, firstly, I want to say thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing all that went on, and you didn't deserve any of that. And secondly, isn't it amazing? Nobody, again, teaches us this. So thank you for sharing, as you say, negatively impactful people, how they can actually affect the biology of your body from your serotonin levels upward, and how we can be so trusting. I think you touched on that. I've got another story coming out soon in my books, touching on a similar story, going to a hospital, putting myself in the hands of people. I was desperate, I needed help, but not that type of help. The type of help that you needed was love and to be seen and appreciated and valued, not pills and medication.
And understood. And I'm sharing this because there may be some women going through difficult times, and you see, you can be totally desperate, even considering to commit suicide, but there is always you can always be again have beautiful life. There is always this hope, and it can happen, really.
Well, absolutely. And you've come from the depths of despair, from really down stages, and been able to navigate yourself to a point where you never thought you would experience the feelings that you're having now.
I even have belief, and now I have goosebumps a little bit, that this really happened for a reason, that I can now go and help other people once I heal myself.
Yeah.
And I also want to add, yes, toxic people have negative impact on our current levels of hormones, and I know how much impact my conditioning my mother had. This I still am dealing with, and I have to deal with EMDR therapy. I know that these past traumas are really in subconsciousness. They were, now I'm aware of them, and now I'm aware that this is what makes me still to some extent chronic. And I really have to process that. So toxic people also influence, even it happened in the past, it's in you still, because it's not processed yet. Yes.
And that's it. I think once we learn that, it makes so much sense, doesn't it? You can walk into a room with people who have, it took me a long time to understand this whole energy from people thing, and how you can meet people and you can walk into a room and you can feel their energy. You can feel their hostility, their warmth, their aggression, their openness. You can feel that. And now that you have the awareness, you also understand, as a child, we had no choice. We had to make do with the people around about us, and those people around about us, I always like to be devil's advocate and say maybe they did the best that they did. And even mistreatment, there's no justification for it. There might be an explanation, but there's no justification. But as a child, we did the best that we could, and invariably that is numbing and switching off, or workaholism, or people pleasing, all these behavioral, very sophisticated approaches to try and deal with these things. And then what I'm hearing from you now is great, is again, you recognize that through the tools, because I know you love journaling and you're an amazing journaler, you're learning to come back to yourself, no matter what happens, no matter who says what, you come back to you through the writing, through the journaling, through hearing yourself, all these amazing tools that you have now. You have a warehouse full of tools.
Not only tools, but the literature recommended we have here in this program. And the book we can pick, and I pick not only one. I still have not finished any book because I started to read like 5 books, because all 5 books were speaking into my case. So I was like trying to understand everything. So I started like 5 books. Yes, and without this, I would not understand that, this is my childhood. This happened. And my mother had trauma. Yes, it's not excuse, but at least I have this understanding. And this happened. So the knowledge, yeah, like you said, knowledge is power. Also.
Knowledge is power, and it's so comforting as well, because we do have those parts, women that are going to be listening to this, you know, who might be in a lot of pain or suffering, you know, cysts or whatever is going on for them. You know, they go, but why? I've had 5 surgeries and it keeps coming back. And why is, you know, we get emails all the time from women, you know, with these questions. And of course, what I've always tried to convey is, like, we are living, breathing organisms that are affected by our environment, by the produce, products, property, people, and past, you know, whether we like it or not. And even though we get frustrated at ourselves, go, but why am I so sensitive? And I wish I wasn't sensitive. We are. That's who we are. And we can turn this. I couldn't do this. I couldn't have created this business, written my book, done all these things, if I hadn't had that and learned to harness it. And I think that's what you've really learned beautifully, is this self-acceptance, you know, being acknowledged by the team and Maxine and I for who you are, the beauty that lies there. And sometimes there's triggers and sometimes there's things happening, but that's okay. It's come along because it needs attention. It needs to be seen and heard and loved and valued. And then you move through to another stage. And there's all these different stages, isn't there?
Yes, and I will return back really. And I know why I have cyst. Yeah. Along the journey, I learned through journaling, meditation, and yes. And my cyst is there because it were hurt by people close to me.
Yeah.
Not only hurt, like the thing that my first husband died were hurting, like my cyst. Also, my mother, when she hurted me, it also contributed. And when I was like 16 and I lost precious friendship, this also contributed to my cyst. So now I really understand why the cyst is there.
Yeah.
So I grieved over loss of my first husband, even so I thought that the grieving process is over. Yeah. But in this program, I really saw that no, I have not grieved entirely, that I have not let go, even so I thought. Yeah. So this I processed. I also processed that friendship loss when I was adolescent, and I am yet to process my past. Hopefully I will find one day EMDR therapist, which is hard in my country because professionals here are not sensitive.
No.
I have to really go online. I know it best is to have in-person therapist, EMDR, but my case is special. Now being unsuccessful for 5 months or more, and doing the same thing over and over, which is insanity. You teach. I really have to go online with EMDR therapist. And once I know that once I process these traumas, this can go really.
Exactly. And of course, that processing will take time because we'll have set up very specialized protective layers of mechanism, like these super duper security banks. You know, we've got all these layers and levels. But what I sense from you now, though, is this capacity to understand yourself, your body, your emotions, your feelings, all the things that are happening, whatever, and being in the world in a way that really celebrates yourself and hears yourself that you didn't have before. I have absolutely no doubt you have everything in you. You have all these tools and resources now to handle anything and everyone.
Yes, I wanted to say we now have the tools. I really am confident I will not only survive, but thrive in this world. And also with the tools I am processing, I managed to process a lot of things.
Yeah, you did.
It would maybe take like ages of talking therapy, but it's really, some tools are so powerful.
So
you
powerful.
can, even with them, you can process a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, for something I need therapies, yes, but I managed to process a lot with these tools.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of journaling, which is why I go on, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this and hear me go on about it again, that journaling is so powerful because it's so private and it allows for the integration. It allows for different parts to be heard. It allows for the feelings. Somebody said to me yesterday, but how do you deal with anger and rage and fury? And I'm like, oh, we like when anger and rage and fury come up because it's been bubbling like a volcano underneath. We don't obviously suggest people take it out on other people, but we say run up a hill and jump and scream, get a punching bag, which I believe you've got a punching bag, which I can't wait to see.
Yes, but sorry for interrupting. This bag I had to use yesterday, but I was really using yesterday because I had another EMD therapist. I thought is potential one, it turned out bad way. So I was angry, like no more in Slovakia, no more. I had to punch that out. But before, during the program, I was using journal, and it really was like I was for 7 months. For 7 months, I was raging.
Yeah.
Mostly on my mother, yes, understandable. I was like raging.
Good.
When there was some anger, because I found out that before I was using my punching bag.
Yeah.
But one day, maybe it was already during challenge. Yes, during challenge I already started to rage.
Yeah.
And I decided, okay, I will test this. Scientist in me, I will test this. I will journal, and we'll see if this helped me. And it really helped me, and then I didn't need this punching bag.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was raging for 7 months. For 7 months. So much tension in me.
But that's it. I mean, you mentioned that from all the mistreatment and all the kind of trusting that you did and all this tension that would have been like, but you know, the question why, and how did they have to be that way, and why? So what happens to all these feelings and emotions? They get stored in the body, and this tension, and the type of women we are, we shove it down into our pelvis. So the very act of writing, and I love that you're saying that even early on you were raging, because a lot of women, when they start, feel, oh, they think about the law of attraction as if they write down rage, they'll attract rage. No, you'll clear the way for the good stuff to come, because you'll see who's stopping the good stuff coming, and how other people aren't appreciating you. And rage and anger are interesting because they normally mean someone's overstepped a boundary that perhaps you didn't know to put in, that you now know to put in, as somebody's mistreated you, someone's ignored you, someone's not treated you in the way, or something's happened that parts of you need more information about. So when rage and anger and fury, we're like, yes, we're touching, we're getting this out of the body, and you get this other wisdom, because normally what comes after anger and rage is grief, the sadness, the upset, and then you allow yourself to breathe and experience music in your drawings and your paintings and all these beautiful things that you've now cleared the way to allow to come up.
Yeah, I cleared the way not only for these things. Two things I want to say. Yes, and then I also, of course, I had a lot of grieving. Of course. But I want to encourage everybody to really rage, because once I started to rage, the immune system was boosted. Like I was then coughing like 2 months, like my immune system was not working. And once it started to be better, it started to clear also everything in the body, like from physical point of view.
Yeah, and you had lots of positive physical improvements. You said you'd lost, what was it, 13?
Yeah, I already paid attention to what I eat during Embracing Emotion program, but in the foundation program, when I learned how to eat little and often and no sugars, and yes, and like from August to like maybe, let's say this day, I lost like 13 kilograms.
That's
and
amazing.
I had to buy totally new clothes. And of course, now I try to buy organic ones.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel better, and yes, it is so good.
Yeah, and your skin and your hair and your nails and your energy and all these other things, you
And
know.
what I can confirm, because in September, I had general test every year in my country. You go to Obgyn
Yeah.
and to check what is inside. And after 6 months, I asked my Obgyn. She's very nice. I am happy to have her. And to check what is my cyst doing in myoma.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the cyst was 6 centimeters, and it is still 6 centimeters, but it is great, because
Yeah.
I even didn't have a whole dose of serapeptase, because I had to build slowly because of the detox reaction. And the myoma, which was 2 centimeters, it reduced to 1.4.
Amazing.
And not only this, I mean, my last period was, for the first time, no pain. So
say that again. This was
no
the first
pain, yeah.
28 years, wasn't it? That painless period.
Yeah, I should mention that I never suffered like other ladies. I never had pains like they did. I was never bedridden. Yeah, my period was not normal, but was not so painful. My life was like, I suffered emotionally. I am like in this program to heal emotionally more, but of course I had some pains and not normal bleeding, and this now is totally no pain. And
Amazing.
it is
fantastic, isn't it?
all the work I put into, now I am reaping what I have sown.
What you sowed, I know. So how did you find the coaching with Maxine? Because I mean, obviously I'm biased, but how did you find that support, that weekly support you were getting from her?
I have to go to the start, because I did not trust anybody, because my experience with the professionals,
of course,
I didn't know what this program is about. And once I learned, I am to open up. Okay, oh no, I don't trust anybody. But I started to trust, because it was a safe place, and I was really attracted. But still, these past traumas was in me. And yeah, even from my heart, I did not want to hurt anybody with my hurts.
Of course.
Because there was so much hurts already in my life, and there is so much hurts in the world that I don't want to add.
Of course.
So when Maxine was coaching me, and I was really resisting to mention anything. And Maxine reflected like to herself. She said, resisting. and it resonated with me. And then after the coaching call, I started to communicate through drawings and poems. Yeah. And I even wrote a poem about this resisting. The poem is the title of the poem is Resisting. And it's about why I am resisting. So I communicated to Maxine why I was resisting. So I really was not able to speak about my traumas. So you have seen my drawings. I really, every trauma with my mother or family, I made a drawing. This is how I was communicating in the beginning.
Yeah. And when you think back to the beginning of that time, can you really like hug that part that was just hurting, and naturally scared to trust, because your life before had taught you not to trust?
Yes, not to trust. And also it's me that I want to, my core me is to spread beauty in this world. Yeah. And no more hurts. So I was like, I am going to hold this hurt inside me. But in this program, you can really open up. You have a whole team cheering you and supporting you and everything. And it is a loving, safe place. Yes, so this was one thing, and later in the academy, I really see how Maxim is coaching very well, because when I think I have reached something, Maxim goes further. She points to some further your possible capabilities. So this I like. Also. Yes.
Yeah, oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, because I think that's it. Knowing that you're in a safe place is rare, and it takes time, because history has taught you not to trust. And of course, equally, we're teaching you to how it's kind of like a hunter goes out in the jungle. They kind of know what signs to look for certain animals that are dangerous or safe. And that's what I believe this program teaches you, not only how to listen to yourself, but to look for the signs in other people, to go, they're maybe not safe to trust. Oh, this person's safe to trust because of X, Y, and Z. And I think there's a lot of, again, misinformation of love everybody. No, don't love everybody. They're not safe enough to trust, or don't like everyone. No, don't, because they're not worthy of your like and love. Let them, you know what I mean? So you've learned how to kind of look for the signs, like the hunter in the jungle, going, yeah, that person has demonstrated to me that they may be worthy of my trust. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's been lovely, because that's really built your own trust in yourself, which I think has been the biggest thing, hasn't it?
Yes, I have learned to trust myself and to protect myself.
Yes.
Not to put myself in danger anymore, to protect my little me in me.
Of course. And that gives me goosebumps, because that will never be lost now. That how important.
No, I will never allow. When I learned this and in this point, no, there is no way back, no way back.
Never, ever again, because you recognize your worth.
I really do. I really do. And it's so fantastic.
I'm so glad. Now, I believe you've got a couple of poems that you wanted to read.
Yes, yes, I wanted to, because one is about this program. It's a really beautiful analogy. Like,
Will you not make me cry?
You will cry. I will drink water. And because during this program, I have so much inspiration. I was never so creative. I never have drawn so much drawings. Now I even compose music and write poems even in English. So I would like to read two poems. One is longer one and another is shorter. So let me read the first one. It is called Law of Seeds. A seed wants to grow, to go with the flow of time. Give it the right environment, give it the right climb. It will start its magic wonder. For living water it will thirst, and when ready, the coat will open, showing its gems, small at first. Lovely. Tiny root and tiny shoot, waking up for a new life ahead. It is ready, just be gentle. All its needs are to be met. And the needs are very simple. Warmth to feel and light to know, air to breathe and water to grow, endless love for it to glow. As it will glow one day for sure, such is nature and its laws. Just be patient, wait for beauty. Just stop and wonder, make that pause. It will strengthen its roots first. They will withstand all that comes. Heavy rains or hurricanes, heavy storms and loud deep drums. Then the seed will start to show its first beauty, dressed in green. Little leaves and little branches, just stop and wonder, watch that scene. One day birds will come and sing, giving praise to the strong oak tree. That was once a tiny droplet, a special one in the vast white sea.
Oh, that's so lovely.
And this poem is really about this whole program. Like, the light to give to the seed is the knowledge we get here. The warmth also the seed needs is the love being given here. Air to breathe is like freedom to be you.
Yeah.
And the water, like all the nutrition. So this really inspired me, and yeah, and I will end with this poem for you.
Okay.
Because that is what this program is about and your purpose. So it is called Poem for Wendy. Pains turn to laugh, laugh for them all. The most gentle self having this call, bathing all women in love, safety, and belief, bringing them joy back, bringing them relief. So I will encourage everybody to come here, heal, be bathed in love, and never regret that, and be forever thankful.
Oh, well, thank you. That's such beautiful poetry. And how does it feel like reading that out?
I want to spread beauty, and I feel like good when I can.
Yeah, but I think spread beauty, but also spread your light, you know, so you're allowing, I can hear for you, you want to help others get where you got, and you can see why as a team it's such a special journey. And like, it's not, it's keeping people inspired to keep going, you know, when you want to give up, because perhaps people have given up on you in the past or not seen your beautiful light. We see your light, and this, as I've said to you, I think just last week, this is just the beginning.
And it is so thrilling. I am really happy and thrilled for my new life. Yes, and I want to say that this environment is really inspiring, encouraging, and I don't have the vocabulary in English. Like, you can really explore, be creative, everything. Just wow.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. What would be your parting words to any woman that is sitting at home with a hot water plaster abdomen right now, feeling like nobody gets her? What would be your parting words to her as she's listening to this, feeling so inspired?
People will get you, and you deserve to be healthy and to have joy and to feel beauty and everything, and you can do it.
Hey, amazing. Well, look, thank you so much. It has been an absolute joy to interview you. And as I say, I know this is the very beginning for you, and I am so super proud of you and all your parts for everything that you've done.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been my
for being.
Pardon?
And thank you for being you.
Well, thank you, darling. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that so much. And it's just such a joy for all of us to be part of your journey. It is such an honor to be on with you at the beginning of your journey and to see where you're going to be headed, because we have so much faith in you.
My honor as well.
Well, look, thank you so much, Hannah. It's been an absolute joy. I'm going to pause the recording in a second and we can just chat in a couple of minutes. But to everyone who's listening, if you want to learn more, then go to healendometriosisnaturally.com/programs. I do have some very exciting news to share, that we're going to be hosting an in-person live retreat in October. So I am super excited about that. Now, there's only going to be about 8 to 10 spaces. You're going to be with me and Maxine for 5 nights, 6 days. So make sure to watch the space and go on and register interest as soon as possible. But until then, as always, look after yourself and to your health.